Mark and Joey here for our second episode of the Ultimate Sports Channel. It is something that we had in place a couple years ago. You can look at the first video we did on Friday and see kind of the explanation that takes it from where we were to where we are now. But the same show, Ultimate Sports Channel, where we cover all the sports that are happening that are important at a particular time. And we do two things. Joey, your company is a sponsor of the show, Joey's VIP Club, and then we have entertainment. So you're going to be doing selections. We're going to do entertainment on the rest of what's going on in the sports world, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, although we do it on Friday. There's so much to talk about for the weekend. We got to get it done the day before to launch it on Saturday. So that's the plan for that. And hopefully we're going to be able to, like I say, bring to you entertainment, maybe help replace the guys at TSN because they have wiped out their whole sports show, it looks like. So maybe you'll be able to come to us for some of the entertainment news. We're not showing all the games. We're not showing highlights. This is about stories that we're doing.
Yeah, it's stories, our opinions, stuff we notice, obviously, with the sports. And then I'm going to bring the handicapper view to it. We're going to talk about some picks, but also ways to handicap. And I'll highlight how I did, and we'll try to give out some winners here and hopefully bring everyone a little bit of money as well, as long as with some entertainment. You're bringing kind of like the co-host entertainment side of it. I'll bring the handicapper, and hopefully we can bring together a show that makes you entertain, learn a bunch of stuff, and maybe win some money as well. I also want to point out that if other handicappers want to get shout-outs on the show, even a little segment of what they do, what their specialty is, you can DM me on Twitter at Joey's VIP Club. And, we'll shout you out on Twitter and on here. We'll do a quick little bio on maybe your prop player, NHL, NBA, whatever you do, maybe live betting, and then we'll make sure you get enough impressions and hopefully get you some extra clients. So for now, it's me. I'm the sponsor. Check me out on Twitter, Joey's VIP Club, giving out free picks daily.
On Twitter and
on here, giving out analysis. And then I have also a VIP list, which is obviously doing very well as of late. So, very exciting stuff.
And all of this is free. The show is free. A ton of selections from Joey are free. The VIP Club, there will be a charge for that to get the special plays that we have every week, but and the limited plays that we have special for the VIPs. But the show will always be free, and that's why we're talking about we will be looking to get sponsors and things along those lines to help the show always be free. But let's get right into the handicapping. We said that you were gonna review, but I gotta say, like, boom on the weekend.
Yeah.
Like everything that played, we hit it. And just had a great weekend of wins. Tom Brady being number one. We also had a single winner in golf. Bruce Koepka, 40-1. Bomb hit it on Friday. Told everybody about it. Our VIP picks, by the way, got that on Wednesday, and we're able to make Thursday bets, which was another great day within the golf. So we're going to talk about that in a second. But we've had all kinds of emails. We put the NFL last in our show on Friday. And that's because from a marketing perspective, you leave the best for last. It can make people watch it all. We had a bunch of emails. Can you do the NFL first? I got other things to do. We said, okay, we'll take away one of our best marketing deals. So we hope that you'll watch the rest of the show, but we get that everybody's excited. Of course, the NFL is done now, so it won't be part of our regular show. So let's just get to it.
Yeah.
Just an amazing display by Tom Brady. The game wasn't actually all that good, but the display he put on was insane.
Yeah, and you know what, I think, that's my initial takeaway is actually how boring it kind of was, except you always held out the fact that it was Mahomes in Kansas City.
Because they did come back 3 times last playoffs, right?
So if it wasn't for that, I would have maybe flipped off.
Yeah.
But, it was domination by Tampa Bay. I'm going to point out a couple of things, obviously, as you're able to look back at it now. First things first is Kansas City just didn't get in the end zone. I mean, really, they got in the red zone. They got on Tampa Bay's side of the field, and when Tampa Bay got down to Kansas City, they scored touchdowns. When Kansas City got to Tampa, they kicked field goals. It's funny that that's the whole game, but when it was 21-9, that's 3 goals versus 3 touchdowns. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady was great. I think he managed the clock very well. I think, though, the defense, everyone said it last night, we obviously know it too. That defense was
they're the best overall team. They don't have a weakness. I mean, that defense
that defense what won
Brady
that game.
Was unreal. He put up points early. He, like you say, he managed the clock, which he's always been great at. So I think this is maybe the truest, and obviously they won the Super Bowl. Truest team on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, when they won with defense in New England, when they won 10-3 over the LA Rams, well, that's pure defense. This was purely perfectly done. You know, the defense let Kansas City on the field, never gave a quick touchdown, which was the number one key when you play Kansas City, is because if they get quick touchdowns, the next thing you know, they're feeling it, they're back in the game. So that never happened. Then when Tom Brady got the ball, he scored almost every time, but also took 6 minutes off the clock. So it was something Kansas City had never really faced, and it was something we talked about on the show on Saturday, was that teams got in leads against Kansas City, but it was young teams that got leads against Kansas City. This was a veteran team with a veteran quarterback. He ran the ball, he threw screenplays, and of course he went to his number one target in Gronkowski when it mattered.
Well, now you mention that.
You talked about
I talked about that on Friday. Gronk was waiting for this day, 2 touchdowns. Yeah. And also what I mentioned, who else did I mention in that one? Got the first touchdown.
Well, Brown got a touchdown.
Yeah, Brown got a touchdown. I told you guys in the show, Brady was stacking these experienced guys together for the Super Bowl and the playoff run. The guy's the genius. I said a couple years ago about LeBron being a real GM and top player, and Brady's the same thing. He brought in the key guys that he needed at the right moments, and he used them in the Super Bowl, and that was the difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cool thing about this win compared to other wins, and even you heard it from the players and the coaches, is that he really, whether you are a fan of him or not, and there's many people that won't be, and I even know a lot of people are saying the refs were one-sided,
I'm so glad that's over.
And the refs threw a little bit more penalties, obviously, against Kansas City than Tampa Bay. But, Kansas City has a history on defense of, they were offside. They do grab on defense. Maybe could have, I always say it could be even in football because it feels like there's a penalty maybe on every
play. But
there
wasn't any gross plays.
There wasn't gross plays.
Wow, like they really screwed Kansas City.
Right.
They were bad. Tom was just dissecting them, and they had to
they lined offside on a field goal, line up offside, and stuff like that.
These are not things referees control.
Anyways, when you hear what Tom Brady brought to the team, I think from the teammates, people want to say, oh, maybe he's not. Patrick Mahomes threw that one ball and he's in the middle of the air, and Tom couldn't do that. But it's the fact that he's also, like you said, a coach. He's a GM. He's a player, and you really heard every guy. I mean, I think Todd Bowles did a great job calling defense, but I feel like the defense even talks about rallying for Tom. He's such a great guy to play for. They get excited. So I think from the coaches to the GMs to the owners to the players, Tom just brought a winning attitude, a positive attitude. For a guy that's so successful, he actually never really beats anybody down. And if he does, it's quick to try to motivate somebody, and then he moves on. And I think that's really the number one thing I think we all should give him credit for, is that how he's been able to take all these teams with football, with how big the roster is, that's so many different personalities. I think that impressed me as much as his talent to dissect the game and score as many points as he did last night. But it was truly remarkable. I think the game was a bit of a letdown, but overall, if the NFL could have asked for a better script, as we said, Tom Brady going to the new team, new offense, no preseason, was struggling early. 7-5. People thought they were done. Then they win every game to finish the season, win the Super Bowl at home in a COVID year. They battled the elements and they got it done. I think they couldn't have asked for anything better. And once again, Tom Brady might have ruined another quarterback's career, because this is very similar to when he beat Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson hasn't been back. So, that's a story for another day. But
the defense found a way to shut down Hill. I mean, that was the key part of the game. It was amazing. He got some touches at the end of the game. But there was something, fourth quarter or whatever, he had 2 touches at that point, or 2 receptions off like 4 attempps. So, it was unbelievable the way they shut him down. And then Mahomes didn't know what else to do. I mean, I've said this to you a million times. Hill is the MVP on Kansas City. This guy, if they don't get him the ball, he's going to be leaving, because he was mad again. He's been mad at several games this year.
Really
For some strange reason, with offensive coordinators, they're such idiots. I mean, you've got your best player, and you don't give him the ball. We go through this with Seattle, by the way. We're Seattle fans. It's hard to tell by the way we do, but we're so frustrated with Russell Wilson and the way they play offense and don't get it to their best targets. And TJ Metcalf goes through the same thing on that team. So this happened in Kansas City. They panicked. They didn't know what else to do when things were going bad. They had no offense to go to if Hill's not getting the ball. Yeah,
and the way I kind of look at it, first of all, we picked Tampa Bay, so we got the win. I'd look at it as, it's hard to say, but they may be the worst 15-1 team I've ever seen.
God.
They couldn't
Even
cover
during the season, they were lucky to get away.
They couldn't cover the spread. They couldn't blow teams out. But I think what you saw in the Super Bowl was a lot of individuality, and I didn't like that. I saw lots of guys getting angry at one another. There was no rally in the team at all, and you even saw Tyrann Mathieu and Tyreek Hill yelling. They play on offense and defense. They're not even on the same side of the ball. So it looked very bad from the sense that it looked very individual, did not look like a team. I didn't see one of those big huddles.
And Mahomes looked like a young quarterback, completely frustrated,
and now,
not knowing what to do.
Now let's look on the flip side. Going into next year, you got Tampa Bay. They're going to be good.
Just before you do that,
okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
Bruce Arians got on the stand, talked about his assistant coaches, talked about his players. I would call Bruce Arians the MVP of this season for Kansas City. The first 4 games, you might have noticed, 2 of those games, he completely tore Tom apart. I mean, he said he wasn't getting the ball to the guys he needed to, whatever it may be. Here's a coach that's got a very strong personality, and he backed off after game 4. He said, Tom, this is your team. However that happened with Tom walking in saying, this is the way I do it, no matter what. We also saw it on Belichick. Tom is the greatest mind in football. But Arians, Belichick always wanted to be the guy getting the credit, which is why they're terrible this year and they'll be terrible forever because Belichick's not a good coach. Brady is a mastermind when it comes to putting plans together, execution, all that. But Arians was smart enough after he was pretty egotistical in the first 4 and said to Tom, this is your team. And that, to me, that's a guy who can be a coach. That's a part of being a coach saying, hey, I got the players and I got the greatest player to ever play the game. I'm going to step aside and let him do that. So I love what Arians did at the end of the game, giving all his guys credit, saying it was them and not me. But that decision after the 4th game, which was the second time he took Tom apart in the media, to back off and let the greatest quarterback run this team, not many coaches could have done that.
Well, and another shout out Bruce Arians. I have no personal opinion on it, but he had 3 African-American coaches and 2 women coaches on the greatest football team of the year. So shout out to that whole organization. They found a way to come together, and we're really, really happy. And Bruce Arians even said, I did nothing. That's all players and coaches. I was just the man who did the interviews, right? He was just the guy that dealt with the media and was good on him for stepping back and allowing that to happen. Yeah. I'm interested to see what he does next year. There's rumors that he might have Todd Bowles be the head coach, and he might get a different role because he is 68 and he's dealt with health issues in the past.
His previous health issues.
I think it'd be fine if he did what he did this year, which was he was just the front man of the ship, although not controlling it. And I think he could do that again. But we'll see.
That's the great thing about a leadership. They do run the overall show, but they let their people do the things they're good at doing.
He dealt with the media. I mean, I hate to say it, but if Todd Bowles, great defensive coordinator, we saw what he did, but if he became a head coach, which he has before, then you deal with the interviews, deal with all the crap. So it might be the same situation as you saw this year, which Bruce Arians can handle that.
Leftwich was the same. Technically a young coach with a good quarterback background and all that worked with Tom. Doesn't mind leaving Tom to do what he knows how to do. I don't think this team is near as successful without Brady, obviously, and he's just cemented that he is the greatest player to ever play the game. So anyway, it was great. We loved it. We picked them at the beginning of the year to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. After we got through Game 4, when everybody else was trashing them, and we said this is the greatest move. He's bringing some guys in. He's going to know what to do. Assemble this group. The defense got on board. There's just no doubt about it that this was a great season. We made a fortune on the Super Bowl picking Brady. We picked them way before, so our odds were insane that we had on them winning the Super Bowl. They were just not even considered at midseason to win the Super Bowl. So that's what you get when you come to Joey's VIP Club. These are the kind of wages we make. We had Gronk as a single individual bet, 2 touchdowns. The yardage was fantastic. I said on the show they've been waiting to get Gronk involved, making sure he's not hurt like he's been several times for New England in the playoffs. And that all worked out, and we had just a fantastic day.
Yeah, so let's take a look at next year and where teams might go and quarterback decisions and everything. We'll talk level football. We'll try to make this one a little bit shorter. But obviously you got Tampa Bay. They're going to be looking the same. But let's look at Kansas City here. Mahomes going to have surgery on his foot.
Yeah.
He got beat up pretty good there, and credit for him for hanging in there. Like I said, you saw some weaknesses from the fact that they couldn't really band together, mount a comeback. They took away Tyreek Hill, and once they did that, didn't have much of an offense. The defense is really bad, so on and so forth. Obviously, they're still a great team because you make the Super Bowl, it's easy to say, oh, now you look so bad.
Yeah.
They made the Super Bowl. They're the favorites to win next year. I don't think so. What's your opinion? Or do they get back there?
Well, I think they're going to get back there. I mean, that's what you have to throw away from this game. Tom Brady beat you. The plan that Tampa Bay put together beat you. Tampa Bay playing at home was the first time ever that's happened, so the emotion was unbelievable around the game. So really there was a lot. There had not been a back-to-back. You reminded me of this during the game. There had not been a back-to-back Super Bowl winner since 03-04. So even though we think Brady's so unbelievable, somewhere in those 17 years, he only doubled once, and that was right at the beginning. And then even he's been out of the Super Bowl or lost the Super Bowl at points. So that's a big. Everything was against him. You said that when we were sitting having dinner, getting ready for the game. You said are just reinforcing our thoughts that Kansas City has everything against him, and that it showed today. I don't think Mahomes would have been that much better with the toe problem, but he had the toe problem. That's a fact of life. They lost 2 of their offensive guys from COVID. Just this kind of thing. And everybody can lose players to injury. That's just the way the game goes. But I would say that this was not as big a deal as was made out in the game. They do have to solve the Hill and Mahomes problem. I mean, he is not getting him the ball enough. This is an ongoing issue. I don't know Hill's contract for next year because we haven't looked that hard at it. But he's got a way to move. He's gone. He's just not happy.
Well, and I look at Kansas City. I go, next year's not really in their favor either statistically. I mean, they go to 3 in a row is just as hard as going to 2 in a row. So if not harder. I think that they're due for a downer year. I think it'll be interesting to see with the cap what they can manage. I think that defense has continually been horrible, and quite frankly, Josh Allen in the playoffs again next year will probably have more confidence if they're as good as I think they are. Yeah. A little bit more of a well-rounded team. But other than Buffalo, Mahomes does get lucky as Tom Brady for many years. The AFC doesn't look that strong compared to the NFC. Yeah. I don't believe in Baltimore that much. I believe they're definitely a second-round playoff type of team because their overall team's
But they're also
good.
run by a young quarterback who really doesn't know how to strategize.
So that's when we look going into next year. I mean, you got a young quarterback, and Lamar might figure it out. They might be the team ready for the run. You got Buffalo, probably going to be good again. We'll get probably near the AFC Championship game once again. How experienced will they be? Miami, but it's much younger. It's much well.
No matter how good you are in Buffalo, it's tough to win because they've been knocked around for so many years.
Not after the number 1 seed though.
At least they made the playoffs.
The number 1 seed is very important, and Buffalo gets that. Then you got to go through Buffalo. So, anyways, the AFC, I don't see Kansas City getting a Super Bowl next year. I think it's too difficult. They might get back obviously in the near future, but I think next year is going to be too difficult with Mahomes beat up a little bit. That defense is still brutal. So despite some massive offseason changes, I'm going to look somewhere else for the AFC next year. But they're definitely not going anywhere anytime soon. So we'll see
it's hard to get back. Even Tom, that's what people forget. It's just he's been around forever. It seems like he's always in the Super Bowl, but he's not. Yeah. And he's had years where he went out first round this year. He's also had home all the way. That's what I was so impressed with this year. That's why it's a lock on my mind that he's the greatest player of all time. He left an easy division that he was always home. He had all the home games before he went into the deep into the playoffs. And he took a team that didn't make the playoffs last year in a tough division and did it all. Look who he beat in the playoffs. I mean,
we could talk about this forever. Obviously, it's amazing, and I don't think anyone's going to argue with you anymore. I mean, this is where he's put himself 7-3 in the Super Bowls. I mean, it's so much different than 6-4, 5-5.
He came out of the top division this year.
Yeah.
Beat all the pretenders to get here. Yeah. It wasn't like he went through soft young quarterbacks, whatever. He went in, beats Rodgers, who's supposedly the god. If you've ever seen some of our older shows, I can't stand the way they talk about Rodgers. There's one way to evaluate a quarterback's win Super Bowls. He's won one early in his career and has done nothing since. He's a regular season player because he gets to throw the ball all over the place. But if you don't win, it doesn't matter. But I will, unless you jump in here, close the show a little bit because I'm about to get on a quarterback rant. There's going to be a ton of quarterback changes, it looks like, this year. Even Adam Schefter
I was going to say let's talk about that and see, but he can only talk about Tom Brady. There's going to be a lot of quarterback changes. Obviously, we already had one with Matthew Stafford going to the Rams, and now Los Angeles will host the Super Bowl this year. Potentially could see a team back-to-back host the Super Bowl. I think the Rams obviously have the best defense. Not much is going to change on that defensive side of the ball. And if anything, I think Matthew Stafford's an upgrade from Jared Goff, although I think Jared Goff's just young. He was beat up a little bit this year. I wouldn't have gotten rid of him for what they spent.
Oh, my God.
I mean, they gave away 2 firsts with him. If it was a straight-up deal, I'd say maybe because, Stafford might be able to get it done now, but I would have gone for someone different. But, you look at the NFC. NFC is going to be very tough again for Tom. You talk about going back-to-back is very difficult. It's going to be very difficult for him. He's going to have Aaron Rodgers. He's going to have the LA Rams. The Saints, I think, will still be good with Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston. You're going to probably see some trades. But it's going to be interesting. San Francisco's probably going to get a quarterback, whether it be Kirk Cousins or Deshaun Watson. It's just going to be hard for Tom as well to get there.
Oh, for sure. Well, it's always hard to get there. Of course, that's
but even harder.
How tough it is to make those things happen, right? So anyway, we're going to wait a week. All this news, Adam Schefter's been tossing the rumors out
Well,
there.
Carson Wentz is going to be traded, so by Wednesday we might dive into that.
Yeah, we dive into a quarterback show now. The NFL's done, the Super Bowl's done. We'll do a whole show because we'll talk about possible lots of moves. Because Tom Brady was not number one going to Tampa last year. There was lots of other places people thought he was going to go to.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and do a whole show on the quarterbacks. Adam Schefter's saying 18 changes.
Well, that's his over-under. Yeah.
That's his over-under. 18 changes. Everything's going to change with what's going to happen with the quarterbacks this year, I believe. So
I tell you what, you're going to see wherever Carson Wentz goes, he'll be the starter, and whoever they get in return, he'll probably be the starter. What we're hearing in Chicago,
yeah,
we're hearing Nick Foles maybe
right
back
away
in Philly,
say that
we'll
Chicago will be last because he's not a good quarterback. So let's not spend a whole bunch of time on that. Quarterbacks are my specialty.
I think he's a great.
I will give you my reasons in another show. I do think we need a little bit of time here to assess all the quarterback possibilities. So there you are. That's the Super Bowl. We had a blast. We made lots of money, which makes us way happier. It would have been really bad for us to get on the show and not have done that. So we're happy about that. Really kind of the end of the show. But here's a thing for you. Feel free to comment back through Twitter. Let us know if you have any thoughts, any questions. We're happy to answer those as well in between shows. As we said, they run Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So do that if you have anything you'd like to give us feedback on. Joey, your handicapping of the Super Bowl was astounding. We went a long time knowing that Tampa Bay was going to win this. We made lots of money.
So let's get into the PGA Tour then.
Let's do the other thing that was unbelievable.
Try to make them a little bit shorter. But yeah, here we go. PGA Tour. I mean, I know you guys came for football, but you should have came for the PGA Tour because I hit an outright winner.
40-1.
Koepka at 40-1.
Oh, wait a minute. Bruce Koepka 40-1? Like, are you kidding me? Where did people come up with that? He did an interview in the middle of the week, said, "I'm ready to go, guys. Like, I'm prepping for the Masters."
He does that every week. But yeah, I mean, thank you to Vegas odd makers. You know, they actually had him at 50-1 on Monday.
Yeah.
He dropped to 41 before the tournament went. He's always confident. He's back at a course where he won his actual first PGA Tour event. He's gone through club changes. He's gone through coach changes. He's been through a ton of injuries. And really, the round on Sunday was truly amazing. The eagle on 17, I mean, was a fantastic chip shot.
Yeah.
I actually lost faith a lot because he was so bad on the front nine.
Yeah.
But this back nine, he just tore it up every single
the same
day.
thing in majors. It gets tougher near the end. He gets better as that happens.
Yeah, and you know what? Once again, you saw a couple of things. Well, first of all, I'll say, so I won at 41. My VIP said 1 unit, so that's 40 units they won on that one play alone. It's my first outright, but it's also only 2 weeks since I've been doing it. So
it's pretty tough to get outright winners.
It's amazing.
When you've got to pick on
But I tell you what, man, to see a guy of that caliber at 50-1, of course he's won. You know he's going to come in confident and ready to go. But I'll tell you, I think the difference maker for Brooks this week was maybe the fans. I feel like the fans may have had a little bit thing for him because he's not energetic as it is as a person. So I think a little bit of cheering definitely motivated him. The putts he made down the stretch, he made 3 birdies in a row, then he made the eagle. I mean, I just saw him kind of get more and more excited. So, fans might have been a factor there, but congrats to me. 40-1 winner. Yeah. Congrats to my VIPs. I even gave it out for free live on Thursday. Yeah. So you could have got in at any point, but there you go. I've only been doing golf for a couple weeks. Hit an outright winner. Brooks kept it 40-1, and I'll be looking to do more of the same. Join VIPs to get them ahead of the tournament. I do post them once the tournament starts so people can get them live. I think Brooks was already 3 under on day 1, so it depends on when you got in. But what a win that was.
But good
Let's
point.
look at the
odds
takeaway.
disappear in golf.
They
like,
do
by the day, right? It's a little bit different than a team playing a team. Golf's a 4-day tournament, and the minute he was in the action at 3 under, his odds plummeted. So you have to get the odds from us ahead of a tournament so you get the best odds.
Definitely. You want to get, 40-1 was the highest he ever was, and that was before the week started. So besides us winning, getting the big win here, and that also made us really excited.
Oh, let me mention one thing about your picks. Guys, here's one I'll just give a giveaway that we look at strongly along with a bunch of stat stuff you do. But from a real feel for the golf tournament, which is why I loved Koepka all the way, is golf is horses for courses. We're big horse people as well. And when a guy has won at a golf course, be sure that he knows how to play the game. So if he's feeling good at all coming in, you've got to give him extra points. And when you're Bruce Koepka, you got to give him Bruce. How am I saying?
Brooks Koepka.
Brooks. I have a real problem with that name, don't I?
You really do.
It's a simple name too, which is funny. But anyway, you got to look for guys.
Not Louis Oosthuizen, but Brooks.
Yeah. So you've got to look at guys that have won at a golf course. They have an advantage no matter how they're playing coming in. They feel great. Who was it? Jimmy. Only one in the West.
Jimmy Walker. Yeah.
Jimmy Walker, yeah, thanks. I am 64. Memory is a challenge sometimes. But anyway, he won all his events in California at the start
well,
of
let
the
me
year.
step in because I'm a
He
professional
feels
golfer
great,
myself.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
you just feel comfortable. Whatever you've been working on just feels like it's going to work that week because you just know so much about the course. You have good vibes of the course. Typically, it's mostly around the greens where you feel even the most confident. But your driver, if it's wild, it just seems to get better because you're comfortable on the way the hole looks every time. When you're putting, you're just used to the speed and type of grass. So definitely golf is horse for courses. The other thing about golf is I've always said the reason why it's my favorite, they do so many interviews. They don't have a team they're playing for, so no team can mess up their game. If they're feeling good about their game, they're feeling a certain way. That's how they feel. They're honest when they're playing bad, and they're honest when they're playing good, and it's very awesome. The last thing I'll point out before we just do the takeaways on what happened in the golf tournament is golfers make 90% of their income in 3 weeks.
It's bizarre.
Now the great golfers do it twice a year, so it's really 6 weeks. But you look at Schauffele, finished third last week, second this week.
Yeah.
He's not really a winner. We'll talk about that. But there's the consistency in the golf game. Look at Carlos Ortiz, was in second place. Last week, Torrey Pines faded really bad, so no one thought about him. This time, he shoots really low on Sunday, finishes third or fourth, I think, around that number. So
he's priming up. It'd be good again this week, and then it'll fade off. It's the thing with golf.
So,
it's weird.
Pay attention to that. Those are a couple things you can look for. So let's look at the takeaways of the golf tournament. First off, Xander Schauffele.
Well, Schauffele is one of my favorites, and I got to stop cheering for guys because Tony Finau is as well.
Yeah, and they keep
and
losing.
he finished second to Dustin Johnson. So anyway, there's guys who just lose. I mean, there are guys who can't handle the pressure. I've gone off of Schauffele and I've gone off of Finau. Of promoting them anymore because they just don't win, but they're great golfers. They make a fantastic living, but they don't have it to close out. The shot he hit in the water,
on 17.
you just can't do. You just don't do that. So you got to start to put guys in that category. As much as we talk about horses for courses, you got to go and say, here's 2 guys who can't win. The other guy who barely wins, although he wins 4 or 5 times a year because he's probably the greatest golfer to be as inconsistent as he is, Rory. I mean, it's hard to say that Rory can't win, but watch how many weeks he goes in with a chance or in the lead and fades. I mean, but he's just so good that he'll win four events in the year.
Yeah.
But you can bet against him because you got to remember, golf, there's so many events to play, and he just cannot make it. So many times he's close.
Yeah, I'm not even going to focus on Rory because he really just shot 700 in this one. Wasn't really involved in the mix. But let's talk about the guys in the mix. You like says, yeah, Schauffele, just awful choke. I mean, the easiest holes coming up, he had a chance to tie it.
Yeah.
He would have actually done it if he just parred 17 because he birdied 18.
Yeah.
It's very sad. I think he needs to be happier on the golf course. My biggest thing. He looks pretty monotone out there, pretty sad. So Schauffele folding, that's obviously very difficult. I thought he might be a guy to catch a major this year. He still might, but my confidence grows less and less with him every single time. Honestly, this year you look at the majors, probably going back to Brooks, Dustin, and the regular few who have been pretty consistent. But let's look at someone else who's near the top of the leaderboard going into Sunday, tied with Xander Schauffele, and that is Jordan Spieth. And there's a couple ways people are viewing this. Some people are viewing this as, he's
let me see
he's going to get better.
He collapsed again. Absolutely collapsed again.
Right, but it was his best finish since 2018.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It could turn into some more good golf. Does he ever find it again?
No. Well, you have a bromance with Spieth.
Well, because you also said Tiger would never find it again. You also said Rory would never win.
This guy is just not going to win. He has no confidence. This is the second or third time during his complete collapse that he has been close at 54 holes and one that he was like right in the last group. He's folded in all of those. He will not win. He's still working so hard on his game. I know he had some good rounds in there. Certainly the Saturday round was amazing. But that shows what happened with guys that are struggling with their golf game. They still have the talent. He has the talent. Shot 61 for God's sakes. But he can't put it together to win a tournament. It's all mental with him. And he's such a tactician around the golf course. As soon as something goes wrong, he missed that short putt and boom. Like the game was completely different. So with Jordan Spieth, it's got nothing to do with the form his game's in. Right now, mentally, he cannot do it. And there's so many guys on the PGA Tour that have this problem. And here's the biggest bet you can make. Take all the names that we're mentioning and bet against them on the final round against whatever player they're in that group. We've done this several times with these guys who can't win. And you bet, there's 2 guys, that's a bet you can make who's going to beat who in that round. You just go take all these guys and bet against them. That's the only really opinion I have for them, that these guys will not win.
Yeah, I mean, I think Spieth will figure it out eventually. I think, though, this didn't necessarily help his confidence. Obviously, I would have liked to see him start better. I think one thing that was kind of interesting, and Bones Mackay said it, was, that whole group was sour, and it doesn't also help you that the whole group was bad. Scotty Scheffler actually probably, yeah, they all started bad. Scotty Scheffler actually was maybe the most impressive, but he still shot bad. I mean, he shot, I think, even par, 1 over. So I think it didn't help that him, Schauffele, and Scheffler were playing horrible, and no one sparked the group at all to get it going.
Look who they were.
They drove the ball horribly. I think of Spieth, I think he's back at the AT&T Pebble Beach this year. He's won twice. He needs to string together not just one good event. He needs to string together 3 events, 4 events, and he needs to do it a couple times. But I really think he can't win a major until he wins a regular season event. That's going to be the key. Is when he gets a win, though, I think he's someone that could win 3 or 4 because he is confidence-based. We'll see it with him going forward. But obviously, it was exciting to have him in, and I think it's important for golf, actually, on a fan's aspect. He was trending on Twitter when he had the great round. He needs to keep playing well because he's important to the game. Well, he's like a likable guy. He's a nice guy. His swing looks like regular guy's swing. He doesn't hit 350. I hope he can get there. I'll get going because I think if he does, he's a confidence player, and I still think he might catch a major before he's 30. I think he can catch 2 majors probably.
Well, I hope you're right because we've always talked about the fact we need another great like Tiger. We need another guy in winning majors. He already has 3 or 4.
Yeah,
and he's 27.
Yeah.
So he is the best hope right now of catching. If you want to catch Jack, Jack had 7 at 30. Tiger had 10 at 30, and at 27, if he could win even one a year, if he does get that confidence back, I don't believe he will, but you're the more of an expert than me. But if he wins, that's one thing I do believe in. Look at Phil Mickelson. He was the greatest golfer to have never won a major. And then he won. And then he's got, what, now, 9 or something like that? I don't keep.
Well, no, he only has 6 majors.
There's 6 majors, but he went out and got those from the time he's 35.
Yeah.
So, Spieth has youth on his side. Rory's too late with only 4 and not playing well. Dustin doesn't have enough. He's 37 years old or 36 years old, whatever. And so we hope for Spieth. I actually cheer for Spieth every week. I just don't think he's going to.
Well, let me wrap this up real quick. First takeaway is the golfers are all the same. Guys that won this week, Dustin and Brooks. Guys that choked. And
by the way, we told them, it wasn't hard to tell them, but Dustin was going to win this event in Europe this week too.
Yeah, he was like even money at the beginning of the week.
I'll take that. Make a bet.
But anyways, so basically the wrap up on golf is guys that win know how to win. They did win this week, which is good for golf because they are top in the world, even though they're the older kind. We saw some sparks from other people, but they choked. But there's some young guys that maybe are going to step up in the future. Maybe some old flames may come back like Spieth. Bottom line is, it was a fun week of golf. The Waste Management Open always seems to provide such a great finish.
Well, the leaderboard was like 8 guys within one shot.
The last 6 holes can be. So, bottom line is, we enjoyed our Sunday. It was fun. We got the win. DJ got the win in Europe, and we look at the AT&T. We'll do that on Wednesday, and hopefully get another big name winning these events. And make Masters talk very interesting. So hopefully maybe it's a Rory or a Spieth or someone along those lines to get the Masters brewing and everything like that. But overall, great week in golf. We got the winner. Let's move on to tennis because we've spent lots of time on the other 2 topics. Tennis. Actually, no shockers again. One thing about tennis is that these first round matchups, although a couple gave us some scares, it's amazing.
Like Dennis this morning.
It's amazing how they pull it out.
It may look like crap. I stayed up most of the night watching the Canadians.
Yeah, and so Aussie Open started. In case you weren't wondering, you're probably sleeping. It started. Our Canadians all got through fine. One big seed went down. The men's number 10 seed went down. A couple women's went down, but overall, everyone made it through. We watched a lot of tennis. Really, only. Maybe second week doesn't matter, right?
Well, let's say this about tennis, is that, the game is great. Besides the fact we are really a force now in tennis. We have like four people in the tops of Canadians, 4 people in the tops of tennis now that are legitimate shots of being number 1 one day when we sweep out the old guys. And so that's fun to watch. They're great to watch. I would say the biggest takeaway is Bianca. No, not
Bianca.
My God, I was in the hospital for like 10 days. My head's still foggy. But anyway, her comeback, almost 2 years, incredible. She came back. She looked great. She won her match, no signs of injury. It's a long time to take off, and she was only 19 when she won the U.S. Open, so she's still only 21.
20,
but or even just 20. She looked amazing, and we keep our fingers crossed for her.
I think even if you're an American, obviously women's tennis actually might be more important to you because you got Serena, obviously American, but Bianca. She took down Serena in the U.S. Open, has now been laid off for a year and a half, and come back last night. She did lose the second set, which I think might have even helped her because she got to a third.
Yeah.
She was actually down 40-love at one point, came all the way back to win that match. So that was a huge win for her. Watch out on the women's side. I think, you're obviously going to see Serena there and then, but you might see Serena Bianca again would be cool for us.
Yeah,
we certainly enjoy their matchups. They're both strong power players, and obviously Canada versus U.S., we always enjoy that. Yeah. On the men's side, like we said...
And by the way, just so you know, Serena looks insane. Like, I don't know if they can beat her this year. Like, her game was fantastic.
They say that every year. She's right now has the Spieth Schauffele.
Yeah, she does, yeah.
She's lost her last 5 finals.
Yeah.
Getting the finals has not been an issue. But, I mean, she always looks good. So, really, although really they all do. I mean, we always talk about this a lot, with tennis. They look so dominant early because they are. I mean, these matchups in the first round are simply warm-up matches for them. Unless you catch what Dennis caught last night, which was he played a young man in Jakob Sinner or something like that. Yannick Sinner.
I'm going to try something.
Young kid, played great. And Dennis got a nice long match of it, but did get the win. So, basically the update on tennis is favorites were there. Favorites look good. They're looking healthy. No COVID cases, thank you, because we don't want to see some player have to forfeit a match due to a COVID case. So,
there was one case. The one guy retired. They didn't give the reason, and so the match that Dennis plays next, the guy only had to play 2.5 sets compared to the 5 that Dennis played. So that was the only guy out. I missed whether it was COVID or not, but the next opponent for Dennis, he only had to play 2.5. And that's a lot in tennis. Dennis played 5, and he won on the number. Like, they went 5 sets, and they went 6-4. So it's a hard match. But, Joe, you're going to get into the fact that, some of these young guys, and Dennis was one of them. I mean, he was a young guy, won a couple matches outside, came into a tournament virtually unranked, I think, the first time he ran up the board. This kid looked the same. This guy won 2 minor events, walked in here with huge confidence and gave Dennis everything he could.
And you know what? We always believe, the rankings sometimes are skewed because they don't update them, I don't think, fast enough. Like, he won both those tournaments on clay, so they don't give him a high hardcourt ranking. We can go on and on, but at the end of the day, still, most of the top seeds win their first matchup, so they don't need to change too much. There's no number 1 seeds going down.
And team looked good, which is a guy that we expect to possibly beat the old guys.
Yeah.
He looked good. Oh, excuse me.
What happens? He keeps interrupting.
He looked great last night, and I think he's ready to challenge again.
Well, they're all ready to go. I think the biggest thing is watch out for the Russians. They're coming. We were watching something else, and the snowboarding Russians were dominating. I mean, Medvedev and Rublev are literally insane.
Yeah.
Lucky for us and for tennis fans, they'll have to face each other, so they won't be too rushed in the finals. But watch out for them. They just won the ATP Cup.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest story in tennis. They won the ATP Cup. They're looking good. Rublev and Medvedev, watch out for them. They're going to be a lot of semifinals and maybe finals. Medvedev's already been in 2 of them, including the great match against Nadal.
Yeah.
So, really pay attention to them. The men's division, I think, is more open than ever before. Although we feel like we say that every tournament, and then there's Djokovic.
Yeah,
in the
Djokovic
finals
is the only one
winning. So
I think Nadal's near that possibility of being knocked down.
Bad, yeah.
I think he's got, other than the clay, he'll win the French he'll be 85 years old winning the French. So, but other than that, he's starting to get beat by guys in these minor tournaments. It shouldn't be tough. And in fact, the kid who played Dennis last night beat Nadal in the last tournament. So even though it was kind of a minor tournament in respect-wise, he did beat Nadal in that tournament. So it'll be interesting to see. I hope that's the case. We need some new blood. Although I love, I love the fact we've got older guys that are still toughing it out and are the best. I mean, just the best. We want that to change.
We got Nadal, who's a little banged up and already losing some matches he did at the end of last year too. Then you got Federer, who's going through surgery. So you're going to see new blood for sure.
Yeah.
And
Djokovic is the only one.
It's just going to be Djokovic. But you know what? Hey, you want to be the best. Got to beat the best.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see who plays him. Most likely plays him in the final. Although we did hear a prediction last night. The one guy had Team and Medvedev in the final. He had Medvedev beating Nadal in the semis, and then Team beating Djokovic. And I'd love to see a Team Djokovic semifinal because the final last year was so exciting. So
yeah, I think so too.
We're in for a good tennis. Maybe a Canadian can make a surprise run too. Milos has made the quarterfinals the last 5 years in a row. Dennis needs to have a big major. He made the quarters in the U.S. Open, but he needs another big major. But we'll see. Lots of fun, lots of excitement. And then on the women's side, we're back involved with Bianca. It could be great.
And another Canadian won yesterday.
Yeah,
I forget her name, but a new one on the on this screen. And
most of our people are American dads, so let's talk. Let's leave the Canadians alone. You guys got Serena. Come on, give us the rest.
Yeah, exactly.
But tennis can be fun. We have been on the show for a long time. We've enjoyed it though. The Super Bowl, PGA golf, tennis has been awesome.
Well,
big
by the
major
way, the
events
biggest
coming.
issue, they play overnight because they're in Australia.
Yeah.
Trying to watch all the games was tough for me last night. I got a short nap, but I watched all the games, and we'll be able to bring that to you as we go through the week here.
Yeah, so it's great. I mean, great time in sports. In COVID world, it's amazing they've been able to put on all the biggest sporting events in the world, thankfully, because it gives us a bit of an escape from what has been a lockdown for us here. I know in the States it depends on what state you're in, but hopefully sports are brighten your day. It certainly did for us. It was a great Sunday, so much fun.
And by the way, Joey, we'll be giving bets starting tomorrow probably.
Wednesday.
Or Wednesday, sorry, on tennis again. It's a daily game, individual players, win and you're gone. This is what I do love about tennis. Lots of other sports like, hockey and basketball that we're huge fans. They get 7 games to figure out who's going to win the final. This is not that case. You go in that day, don't have a great day, you're gone. And I love that about tennis as well. Is it's so tense, no matter where you are in the thing, someone can be going down at that.
And the majors have the 5 sets.
Yeah.
So
I love the 5
on the men's
sets.
game,
let good players come back.
Let the good players come back, but it looks like war out there in a 5-setter, a good 5-setter. I mean, they're huffing and puffing, and it's a physical sport. So we certainly love it. We'll touch quickly here on NBA and NHL. We'll do a
not
quick
much
5
difference
minutes.
happening.
Not much difference. The only thing I'll say is avoid the Lakers at home.
Yeah.
They can't beat Detroit except for double overtime. It's ridiculous. But pay attention to those home and away records. It's a huge betting thing. On hockey, watch out for those doubleheaders. The second game is always low scoring. The other team always needs to play closer. Lots of improvement from bad teams in both sports right now. You're seeing some runs here in this COVID era. They're able to take advantage of when they get hot, when they get confidence. So all really for NBA, NHL, not much has changed. But adapt on the fly, man. Teams are getting hot. Teams are getting better. Doubleheaders are tough to handicap. Always, in my opinion, just look for less scoring.
Yeah.
And enjoy the great players. Steph Curry playing out of his mind. LeBron doing LeBron things. Giannis is doing fantastic. If you're a Philly fan, congratulations. Trust the process. They're looking great.
Raptors went on a 3-game winning streak, although it ended
Raptors are getting a little bit going here. Siakam looking better. Van Fleet looking better. If you're a hockey fan,
54 points. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah.
We haven't had that in Toronto in a long time.
If you're a hockey fan, enjoy the hockey. You're getting lots of good Canadian matchups. You're getting McDavid and Matthews in the same division.
Well, it's the Canadian division. They just score tons of goals.
Tons of goals.
I don't think they even have defense in the Canadian division. I mean, they just fire goals in the net all day long. I'd hate to be a goalie. You were a goalie for many, many years. I'd hate to be a goalie in this division. The only thing you can hope for is that Grant Fuhr got into the Hall of Fame with a 3.35 goals against average. So you can let goals in. You need to.
There's no Hall of Fame goals in the Canadian division, though.
You need to be ready to go with lots of shots. And the way these guys shoot now is Austin Matthews is incredible. There was an end-to-end rush with McDavid the other night, which would be on a highlight reel forever. Yeah. So lots of great hockey out there. And for all of us offensive fans, this has been great.
Yeah, I mean, you got Marner, Matthews, McDavid, and Draisaitl just on 2 of the teams in the Canadian division. Yeah. And Montreal's been a good blessing for sure as far as the division goes.
And all the other and the American divisions are kind of sorting themselves out like they would in any other season, even though they're not playing the Canadian teams. It's starting to look like it should look. And let's be fair, you've been sort of in there, but we're not throwing much money at the NHL right now because it's really difficult to know who's coming up one night or another. You have a couple systems that have been electric lately.
Join VIP because he's being modest. My VIP system has worked very well. Yeah. I'm not giving it away, but it's the only thing that's really worked. Yeah. It's the only thing that's really worked, and it's the only way I've hit like 7 underdogs because of this system. So there's just some facts that go on in sports, and especially hockey, where they're playing so many games in a row and playing the same teams, unlike basketball, that you can get lots of underdogs. In basketball, the system still works, although you got point spreads to deal with, so it's not quite the same sometimes. But join VIP to get that system. That system's been on fire. Besides that, it's been very difficult.
Yeah. Well, basketball has been very difficult. Hockey's been great, and then in football we've been lighting it up, and unfortunately that's ending.
Well, we love our football.
So now we've got to
maybe see it.
We're gonna have to get to another sports that can light it up. Hockey's one of those. We're Canadians. We know everything about hockey. At least we tell people we do. And your numbers have been reflecting that. So there you go. Hockey and basketball. We're going to really pick up on that now. Golf and tennis are right into it. A major in tennis going on right now. The Masters not far away. They're going to take the place of the NFL for us as we move the show forward. So we do want to say, have a fantastic couple of days here. We will be back on Wednesday to give you our golf bets. Will be the center of a Wednesday show, and tennis.
Yeah. Wednesday will be more. If you're in for picks, Wednesday's going to be more of a pick. This was, I know, mostly a summary, but we're super excited about how our picks finished, and obviously the ending of football.
And the weekend.
And the weekend. So, but Wednesday, if you're down for just a show full of picks, golf, hockey, basketball, tennis. That's what we'll focus on there, and we'll have some solid ones for you, and then join VIP to get the real sweet ones.
And by the way, if you're a soccer fan, Joey has a remarkable system that's been working fantastic for us. We'll start to move into that as well, and we are not. I gotta say, we're not into soccer. You won't get an entertainment value side of it, but you've been hot on a couple
systems. The only thing I know about soccer
is
Ted Lasso.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah.
If you get relegated, you get promoted, you can tie, you can win. It's on Apple.com.
On Apple.com, you have to watch the series Ted Lasso. And they did a couple commercials last year. It turned into a show, like 20 episodes. We were not even looking to watch Ted Lasso. We watched an episode. It's incredible. I mean, if every coach in every sport took the Ted Lasso way of coaching and applying that to a team that didn't even want him there, he didn't even know the sport, but the mental stuff that he brought to the game. Watch Ted Lasso. That's a recommendation we'll give you.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Jason Sudeikis. It's the only reason why we watched it. So
it's incredible.
But it's a great show. Check it out. And, we know as much about soccer as he does.
Yeah, exactly. Who can figure out offside? Please, someone explain that to me.
It's bad.
That's his favorite line. It's hilarious. So anyway, that's it. We're going to be back on Wednesday. Enjoy the next couple of days. And Joey's going to have picks up every day on Twitter. So even if we don't talk about them all here, make sure you go to Twitter. Joey, what's the Twitter handle?
At Joey's VIP Club. Joey's VIP Club. Search that on Twitter. You'll see me there. Cool logo I got and everything. So I'm easy to find. Like I said, constant free picks. Always having fun, engaging the game too, and engaging with all my followers. So if you want me to engage some in your post, I do that a lot. If you want to be promoted, I'll do that too. So Joey's VIP Club on Twitter. Search it. Just follow me, and we'll figure stuff out from there, and hopefully win some picks.
Okay, that's awesome, and we'll look forward to chatting with you on Wednesday. That's great.